Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. Today in this episode called PK Tech Girl, which by the way was a working title. They didn't remember to title it for public consumption. This was just what they used in order to identify what they were working on, but it stayed and they got a little smarter later to have something a little more creative in their titles generally. But anyway, in this we see another peacekeeper ship. Although derelict, it's called the Zelbinian. It is the most feared ship in the Peacekeeper fleet. It was lost about 130 cycles ago, however many years that actually is, we don't know. But it's badly battle damaged and it's gutted of almost everything on it. So what we know after having seen the episode is that Captain Crace had been there. He sent a crew of techs to try to make some repairs and went on his way for them to catch up with him later. However, all the techs were killed by a group of salvagers called the Xiangs, and they left only one person alive who was able to hide from the Xiangs. Her name was Galena. So Moya docks with the ship, and the idea is that the crew might be able to find some star charts that might lead them home. But when they get there, they only find that everything is pretty much smashed up, and there's not much of use to them anywhere. They see a lot of corpses laying around, and with one little panel still lit up, it leads them to believe that there is somebody there recently, or as Crichton said, they must have very good car batteries here. Anyway, what they find is that by the time that they realize that there's nothing of much use, and even after they have discovered one person living on there, what happens is that they find that the Xiangs are on their way back. Now they realize that they don't have enough time to go into a starburst, and Dargo says that the only way to deter them is by force. If they try to run away, it would be a show of weakness. They could be caught up with and destroyed. So Dargo opens up communications with the Xiangs and infers that they're in for a fight. Now, the Xiangs don't expect to see a Luxon on a Leviathan. They know what a Leviathan is, but have not seen one probably in their lifetimes. Anyway, the sight of a Luxon on board of one is enough to make them stop and think about this, because a Luxon wouldn't be on a defenseless ship. And if there's a crew of them, it could be a real problem to deal with. And generally speaking, they'll run away from anything that's a real fight. And so they're still pondering this while Crichton and Galena are trying to repair a force field generator that's still on the ship. And while they're working on this, they become rather interested in each other. So we have Crichton's first view of the inside of a peacekeeper ship, his first alien romance, and the first indication that Aaron has any personal feelings for him. Now, we also learn that while Rigel was deposed, or when he was deposed, he was turned over to the captain of this ship, a fellow by the name of Celto Durka, who was a real tyrant. He tortured him to a point that he's not yet dealt with. And Zan urges Rigel that he should seek out that which he fears in order to get this out of his mind. Basically, seek out the corpse of that captain so that he can move on. Anyway, with all of this, it's a fairly simple plot, but it does give you a little more insight into how Rigel thinks and what worries him, what scares him. And also we give a good sense of what Dargo can do, what Zan can do, and especially what Aaron can do. Now, it's interesting, they have where they're filmed is in an old power station. It's an Australian power station that's been abandoned for a good 10 years before this episode was made. And it was used for other film projects, including The Matrix Reloaded. So the location has a very authentic look to it. And so the way it's lit and all of the moisture and corpses strewn about give it kind of feel like the Alien movies, although we know our people are going to actually get out of this alive. Now, they have an interesting deal where they get the force field working, but it has holes in it. That's kind of an interesting thing that we haven't seen in most science fiction before. And the opening on Rigel's eye reminds me of the first scene in Lost, and we know that something bad has happened or is going to. In case of Rigel, it's something that he remembers and is still dealing with. Also, it shows off the detail of the puppet. The show was actually made to show the industry, to show Hollywood that Jim Henson's Creature Shop could do more than Sesame Street characters. They could make puppets that were believable and very real looking. Also, we can see some real acting in this episode. As we said, it's a much larger part for Erin. She has most of the explanations here. She's much of the action here. She kills the bad guy. I mean, it's a good part for her this time around. And Crichton has his first real love scene, and also we get an indication that he's been kind of a fast study on the alien technology, enough where he can pick up a tool and start fixing something on an old peacekeeper ship. And of course, Rigel is kind of the center of this, in that the trauma that he had from the torture is something that still lives with him. Now, Galena herself, I think that she may come back one day as a turncoat. The story gives you a good enough reason that if she were to actually say that she had been with the crew of Moya, she would be branded the same way that Erin is, where she's just contaminated and therefore no use to them. And they either murder her or exile her. One would be worse than the other. So it gives her a good enough reason to leave her on the ship and also not have to take on a new regular character. So that's what I get out of this. Remember, subscribe if you've not done so, and want to remind you also that we have coming up Talking Movies with Professor O today, or rather on Thursday, we'll be talking about Interstellar. And on Saturday, we'll be back with our review of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. So, thank you for joining us. Until next time, don't go far.